He's back.
In my last review, I confirmed my suspicion that The Secret of Monkey Island would hold up as an all-time classic. The story and characters were simple but quirky, the pacing was fantastic, and the puzzles still held up far better than other adventure games from the time. So, let's take a look at Monkey Island 2, Voodoo Booga. Excuse me. LeChuck's Revenge. The art in this game is impressive. I'd say it's an ever so slight upgrade from Monkey 1. With 3 inhabited islands to explore and a few other areas, there's a lot of art. If anything, I'd say maybe too much effort has been put into some of these scenes. Look at the sheer amount of objects drawn into this pawn shop. And don't get me wrong, it all looks amazing, but in a game that revolves around finding specific items, this is approaching I Spy levels of visibility. Audio is the same deal as last time. They revamped the soundtrack and added voice acting. The new soundtrack mixes in a lot of interesting big band and reggae influences. It's neat, but I still find myself humming the songs from the first game even after playing this one, so take that as you will. Voice acting took a big step back this time around. It's a pretty mixed bag as far as quality goes.
Would you like my monocle?
Thanks, man. This'll do just fine for me lucky sailing necklace.
Would you like to hear the story of the time I blew LeChuck's top?
Funny you should mention Lechuck, as he's the reason I brought you here.
Excuse me, do you know anything about Big Whoop?
Uh-oh, who sent you here? I should warn you, I'm heavily armed.
That's an unusual name. Perhaps you have some identification.
My ID is on my ship. Wait here while I go and get it.
Nice try, Guybrush. I don't know how you got out of the jail, but I'm taking you...
This is another point-and-click adventure. If you're not sure what that entails, go see my review of the first game. Or just Google it. Really, the genre's not that hard to figure out. The action system from the first game has been revamped to this nifty wheel that appears when you hold the right mouse button on an object. It's a welcome change and adds a nice aesthetic to action selection. Between this and being able to access your inventory with the middle mouse button, you can now easily play the entire game without using a keyboard. And you better get familiar with it. There's a lot more timed puzzles in this game. Finally, if you hold down both mouse buttons, then interactable items will be highlighted. It's a really nice feature to have in some scenes. We'll get to that part later. So, how are the puzzles?
A dimension of infinite pain.
Look, I don't normally want to mark the majority of a video as spoilers, but in this case, I think it's necessary to show you some of the ridiculous stuff. Besides, I don't want to suffer alone. I did this for you. If you really want to avoid spoilers, just fast forward to here. Your goal in this game is to find the treasure of Big Whoop. Legend says that it resides on Inky Island, although nobody has ever heard of this place, so you're gonna need a map. But before you can get on with your treasure hunting adventure, there's one small matter of business to attend to. Largo Legrand is the bully in charge of Scab Island, and the locals aren't too happy with what his embargo has done to their business. They drop a couple of subtle hints about what you can do to get rid of the guy.
But I can't make the one thing that could really do this island some good.
What's that?
A voodoo doll of Largo Legrand.
A quick trip to the International House of Mojo, and you've got yourself a shopping list.
Something of the thread, something of the head, something of the body, and something of the dead.
A strange thing about this written list is that you can only know its contents by having Guybrush read out the entire list when you use it. I know that the game has items that you can visualize from your inventory, so this is just a little bit of a strange choice, and I felt like it kind of wasted your time. Most of these items are pretty easy to find, but one in particular stuck out to me. You need
Something of the thread?
to complete Largo's doll. You break into his room in the inn, so you think it'd be fairly easy to snag a pair of pants or something. I think that's a pair of them on the floor right there, but it looks like you can't actually interact with them. Oh well. There's a launderer on the island. Maybe Largo has a claim ticket in his room. You can go pick up his clothes. Nope, no ticket. By now in your search, Largo has probably barged back into the room and chased you off. You see, this room has a timer. If you want to reset that timer, walk all the way through town, walk out onto the island map, turn around, and come back. It turns out the real trick is to get Largo's clothes dirty in the first place. If you're lucky, maybe you already scooped up some swamp water in a bucket you found. Use this on Largo's door, and it'll fall on top of him. Now, he's going to make a quick trip to the launderer, and you can head back into his room for a quick game of I Spy. Where in this picture do you think the laundry claim ticket is? I'll give you a couple seconds. Did you get stuck into the wood on the other side of the closed door? Yeah, neither did I. Sure would be nice if we had a way to highlight objects we can interact with, wouldn't it? For all of this effort, you're awarded with Largo's bra. I don't know. Maybe this knocked him dead in the 90s, but it just comes across as a cheap joke at best now. Anyway, now you can cook up a voodoo doll and confront Largo. You don't even really defeat Largo this way. I think the only reason he leaves is so that he can go revive Lechuck. But that's no matter. You can finally charter a ship and get on with your treasure hunting adventure. You learn that the treasure of Big Whoop can only be found if you find the 4 pieces of the map spread across 3 islands. The whole traveling between 3 islands thing sounds like a really cool idea, and it is, until you actually have to do it. This happens the first time you travel to each island. Not any island, mind you. Each island. You have to watch the same joke 3 times. And based on how the puzzles revolve around getting stuff from the other islands, it's all going to be within the same half hour. You know what happened when you had to make a repetitive boat trek in the first game?
A long walk, a brief row, and a short hike later.
This was 1 game ago. It came out a year before. The developers knew that nobody wanted to see this, and they let you in on the joke. And now they're just laughing at you. Even once you're done with these, you still need to walk to Captain Dread's ship via the overland map every time you want to travel on it. If you look at the map in your inventory, it's identical to the one you travel with on the ship. I think the devs might have wanted to let you fast travel this way, but either just couldn't figure it out or decided not to in the end. So, after you've gone and fetched a cup of tea, or 3, while you travel, how's the process of getting the map pieces?
A dimension of infinite pain.
Let's go over the process of getting 1 of the 4 map pieces. Start by cutting off an innocent man's wooden leg. You bought the saw back on the other island, right? Now, go to the woodworker's shop and steal his hammer and nails while he makes a house call. Go to Booty Island and ask Stan about a discount coffin. Ask him to get in the coffin. Close the lid. Nail it closed. Stan deserves this. Grab the crypt key and flee the island before they find the body. Head back to Scab Island and head to the graveyard. Open up the crypt. Cool. These all have quotes on them. It turns out I had already found the Book of Pirate Quotes in Governor Fat's mansion, so I got to skip the part where I figured out which coffin was his. And don't go trying to open all of them. It will not work without the book. Head to the fortune teller and admire her glassware.
Spider lungs, golden tongue, the 5-day treatment plan that helps you talk to women, tender touch pirate powder, prevents stump chafing and eye patch rash, bat wax. They're unlabeled. Fruit cocktail in heavy syrup. Wart remover. Cat dewormer.
Hey, that's just a display model.
Give her the ashes. You did remember to grab the ashes, right? She lost her voodoo cookbook? Well, guess it's time for a field trip to the library. Look up voodoo recipes. Look up recipes, voodoo instead. Ask the librarian for the joy of hex. Give the fortune teller the joy of hex. Take the batch she already mixed up. Wait, she didn't actually need the book? Well, guess it's better to measure twice when you're working with the forces of voodoo. Go back to the crypt. Sprinkle your new special seasoning on the ashes. Convince him he's dead. Fulfill his last dying wish by hiking to his restaurant and turning off the gas. Hike back to the graveyard. Now you can take your map piece and leave. And that was just one map piece. There's still 3 more. Getting the rest of them is just as much of a slog. Every single one has the same backtracking between islands, the same going back to a location you just came from to get an item you couldn't possibly know you would need, and the same feeling that you, the player, are the butt of the joke. The same jokes are used multiple times throughout, too. Remember how funny it was that that pirate was wearing a bra? Well, guess what? Now Guybrush has to wear a dress to get into a party. There were a million gag costumes in the shop, but this was the funniest thing they could think up. Again? Remember when that map piece got blown away by the wind just before you could reach it? Wouldn't it be hilarious if a seagull grabbed it just after you caught up to it? The biggest slap in the face is when you track down one of the living crew members and try to get his map piece. He's reluctant, but there's a glimmer of hope.
I'm Guybrush Threepwood. Prepare to die.
So, you want a sword fight, do you? Sword fighting's for wimps, weenies, and sissies.
Nope. Screw you. You like sword fighting in your pirate game? Well, that's for sissies, and you're stupid for thinking we're going to do that. Instead, take another timed puzzle where you have to swap out an object while he isn't looking.
Look behind you! A 3-headed monkey!
What? Where? I don't see it.
After all the recycled jokes and jabs at the first game, this is what you choose to cut? And you chastise me for wanting to play one of the most memorable puzzles from the first game? Whatever. I got your map piece. Now I can finally get this over with. All we have to do now is get this map prepared and we can get to Inky, Blinky, Pinky, or Clyde Island, whatever it is you're calling it. Hand the map over to Wally. Go on one final fetch quest for him, and he's captured by Lechuck. Finding the cartographer is pretty easy. Finding the key to his cell is... well, it's like this. You see these weird skeleton carvings? Well, it turns out there's a secret code that was given to you earlier in the game to figure it out. It was during this acid trip of a cutscene.
We have some information for you, son.
Really? Great! What is it?
Well, we're going to give it to you in the form of a song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this goes on for 3 whole minutes. Boy, am I glad Guybrush decided to write all this down. Anyway, you solve the puzzle to get the key, and of course it's a booby trap. You get put in a Bond villain-style death trap, and you have to spit your way out of it. You should actually fail this at least once, because there's the legitimately funny meta joke where Elaine calls Guybrush out on his story, and you get to try again. You escape the fortress by blowing up the powder room, and the blast sends you straight to Dinky Island. Guess you didn't need that silly map after all. Listen to the parrot to solve the jungle puzzle and find the big X. If you get lost, you can always use the convenient phone in the jungle to call the LucasArts hint line.
I'm lost in the Dinky Island jungle in Monkey 2.
Look, there are only 2 ways out of the room you're in. Figure it out, knucklehead.
The guy's really helpful. Solve the puzzle, and they'll once again reveal you went through all that trouble for nothing, because there's an easily accessible shortcut that the hermit on the island could have shown you. Finally, after all this trouble, you've found the treasure of Big Whoop. It's a MacGuffin. It isn't used at any point, and at best, it's just a way to foreshadow the ending of the story you're about to witness. Lechuck shows up with his Guybrush voodoo doll, and a secret.
Huh?
I am your brother.
No. That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
No!
It's a LucasArts game, so I guess I'll give them a pass just this once. Rather than kill you, he opts
to torture you, and then send you screaming to another dimension, one of infinite pain.
Luckily, his doll is malfunctioning. Unfortunately, he's persistent, and he will follow you around the tunnels, teleporting you to random rooms while you try to complete your task. You're supposed to search through the service tunnels and the adjoining rooms to gather all the items you need to make a voodoo doll of LeChuck. Hope you remember what those 4 items were from the first act of the game. A random number generator for how long it takes him to find you ranges from about instantaneous to about a century. And sometimes you need him to find you in a specific room to gather an ingredient from him. Once you finally gather all the ingredients, you get the final cutscene. You turn the tables on LeChuck, and it turns out the whole Star Wars shtick was not a lie. He is your brother, wearing a mask. Turns out, Guybrush and LeChuck, or Chucky, are actually just kids in an amusement park. This was all an imaginary game. Alright. That's not exactly fair to the ending. The game implies that this might just be a hallucination from the fall Guybrush took, or part of LeChuck's hex. The next game will confirm this theory, but that came out 5 years later and it was created by an entirely new team, so take that as you will. The ending was blatant sequel bait at best, and a complete cop-out at worst. The puzzles in the game are tedious, and you get the feeling that the game is laughing at you for going through the trouble of solving them. They rely on moon logic and puns to such a heavy degree that you're better off trying every option, no matter how absurd, in the hopes that you stumble upon the right solution. I thought Ron Gilbert was dedicated to moving away from this sort of thing. He certainly succeeded in The Secret of Monkey Island. Wait, am I one of those game reviewers that they made the easy mode for? Hold on, there's something I need to do. Guybrush also took a massive heel turn in this story arc. Between getting an innocent man fired, destroying a man's prosthetic leg, stealing a man's monocle, and intentionally getting an innocent woman imprisoned, he's become a menace to society. In the first game, he was a lovable buffoon. Bad things certainly happened to people around him, but it was usually accidental. Guybrush actually cared about people. Now he just seems like a sociopath roaming around the Caribbean and taking whatever he wants through any means necessary. Almost like he's some sort of pirate. Overall, I don't think I can recommend you pick up this game. The first game was a lighthearted, comedic romp that aimed to make adventure games accessible to everyone. I feel like they forgot that here, and we're back to the cynical, too clever for its own good adventure games that were here before. I don't know if I can honestly say it's a terrible game. Might not even be a bad one, but it definitely doesn't feel like Monkey Island. Monkey Island 2, I'm not mad. just disappointed. You can be better than this. There's just so many questionable decisions that I wish I could know what the devs were thinking when they made this game. Wait. What are you doing? No! No! Do not send me back in there! I am not playing this godforsaken game again!